Hello and welcome to another episode of Page Burners. We are working our way through the Malazan books in publication order. We'll be reading books both by Stephen Erikson and Ian Esselmont, but we're reading them in publication order, so we won't get to an Esselmont book for a while yet. We just finished Dead House Gates, and we are starting today with Memories of Ice. I think if you were listening to our last discussion, we may have announced up to chapter 3 of Memories of Ice, but we're going to stop at chapter 2 for today's discussion. Next week, we'll do chapters 3 to 6, end of book 1, whatever that is. And yeah, I think that's all the announcement stuff. Oh, and if you're interested in reading along with us, chatting about these books with us, please consider checking out the Page Chewing forum. That's where we have some forum threads where we do some planning and discussions. With me, of course, the usual group of friends. Everybody will go around introducing themselves and talk about what they are most interested in discussing today from the chapters we read. For me, it's going to be the fact that the I-Mass did the ritual 300,000 years ago, and maybe the falling of the god. The entire prologue. It has so many interesting things. So, cool. Shannon, do you want to kick us off?
Sure.
Or continue?
I'm Shannon. I mostly just hang out on the Page Chewing forum. And the thing I think I'm most interested to talk about is how about it's a bad idea to make deals with gods sometimes, as Munug figured out in chapter 1 or 2. Chapter 2.
Nice. I like that. And Night Carl. What about?
Night Carl, yes. I am Carl. Oh man, y'all picked two really good ones. Both definitely are up there for me. Ooh, I think the thing I'm most excited to talk about actually is the relationship between the Tull I-Mass and the Jagged. I think there's a lot to discuss there, and we are now, for the first time, really kind of getting to dig into the meat of that.
Sounds fun. And Dan.
Yeah, Dan. What I'm excited to talk about, I don't know, maybe the characters of this book, because reading it felt like, how do I say? I feel like this book has a lot of great characters, at least for me. It's like every point of view is really good compared to some other books where maybe one or two I didn't like as much. But I wanted to hear what your thoughts are on the characters for this book.
Yeah, I'm Steve from Page Chewing and Steve Talks Books. I think I'm most excited. All of you had some really great ideas or things you wanted to talk about, so I don't want to name the same thing. I think the other thing that was on my list is Paran and how his past experiences are going to influence or how it's going to affect him later in the books, and whether or not he'll ever really truly be accepted because of his background. Also want to quickly mention that want to give a shout out to one of our listeners, Dom Auto Asis. I'm probably mispronounced the name, but just want to say thank you for all the support and for always commenting and interacting. Really appreciate it. I can speak for all of us when I say that anybody who listens, whether you comment or not, really appreciate you spending the time with us. It's a treat to read these books with other people, and thank you.
Absolutely. Please come speak to us on the forum if you're not already. And otherwise, yeah, thanks for listening. And I hope you all enjoyed the discussion with Stephen Erikson as much as we did. I know I can tell you, like, for me personally, that was an amazing experience, and I'm still coming off the high of. So anyway.
Yeah, and there was a full spoiler thread on the forum that I have not looked at, although I've been tempted many times. So if you have already read the series, I'm going to talk full spoilers, and that is available.
Do it, Steve. Join the dark
I've
side
been
that
tempted.
doesn't care about spoilers.
I'm like, fuck it, why not? But I'm like, I shouldn't. I'll be upset with myself later. In 4 years when we finish, I'll be like, I shouldn't have read that stupid crap.
The crazy thing about this series too is I feel like if you jumped in that spoiler thread, half the things we talk about, you would be like, these are alien words to me. I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah, we do mention things that you haven't encountered or have encountered, but are so likely to not remember.
I can believe that for sure.
Yeah. Cool. So shall we start with the prologue with some oh god, what's the word I'm forgetting? The pogrom that has an interest that's named after a flower or something.
Rotted flower.
Yeah, of the
Mhm.
rotted flower. And Kilava saves the life of 2 children, or so she thinks. But man, is she mistaken. I really love this section because it really sort of doubled down on this aspect of how the Tilanimas are not, they're not Tilan yet. The Imas are not cruel and they don't torture the Jagged. They kill them rather than torture them, and so on. And so the mother thinks about that multiple times. The Imas themselves declare that several times, and then Kilava thinks that she's doing this really nice thing for these children, and it ends up being maybe the worst possible thing that she can do. And I also like how it has echoes of some things we've seen from the previous book, like with that tone Warren when the soul of the Testandi was used to sew it up, and it's eternal damnation. Like, we don't know what kind of pain it is, but at least that he's just trapped there forever, which means that this kid is probably trapped there forever, and the sister, not to mention.
There's
That's
a
a
lot
great
to
note to start off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot in the prologue.
There's a lot to unpack. I mean, there are things we haven't even mentioned yet in regards to all of this, just in terms of the idea that the like split, the cut, the rent in reality that leads to another Warren. You know, she at first thinks it's the Warren of those Jagged children, of the Jagged race as a whole, Amtos Falak, but we are given reason to believe it is in fact not that Warren, and that by not unleashing rather, but by what she thinks is releasing the kids into this Warren, she is chaining one of them and unleashing something else, something, mysterious and terrible that
yeah.
appears only as a mound in the distance after she lets the kid in there. And then again, this isn't even talking about all the frickin' I think it's easy to skip over, especially on a first read, but the frozen petrified which are the giant prehistoric wolves that have been
Right, yeah.
hunting, this deer-like creature, right? And it again, it's easy to skip over because you're kind of just like, oh, whatever. There's the ancient fauna, but this has not only thematic potence, but I think even by the end of the prologue, we see how it may have plot relevance in terms of there were species here before anything that we would consider like sentient or sapient, maybe is the more correct word. Before the Jagged, before the I-Mass, there were these giant wolves and other sorts of creatures, and including, and they had their own gods, right? And we get introduced to one of them personally and another one kind of secondarily, these mates. and I'm just kind of explaining what happened, but like that, there's just so much to say, right? Like it's actually kind of insane, and it is emotional, right? Seeing these children, I mean, this genocide be committed, and these children as the last survivors of this genocide, except they then get stuck with this seemingly worse fate.
And the thing that came out 300,000 years later dug its way out, or
Right.
we see that at the end of 300,000, and it's been a few decades since that happened, apparently.
Well, I guess we know what it is, right? That gets way out, right?
We do know within the first couple chapters we find out. Yeah.
Like, we know the term for it, but do we know what
matrix.
it is? Yeah, Kachin Jamal matrix.
Vaguely.
They said what it was.
Okay.
I mean, what it looks like, what it does, we don't know yet. So that we should, those of us who've read the whole book, which I think is everyone here actually, we should probably stay vague. But the Kachin Jamal matron has been released, and from its captivity, where it was captive for whatever reason, and is now wandering the modern world.
And the Kachin Jamal are a race that apparently went extinct before any of this happened. So they are ancienter than ancient. They were ancient during the ancient I-Mass history.
And I think it's been mentioned that people are worried about them in the sense that they're not viewed in a benign light, I think, from what we've heard previously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Only vaguely mentioned, but yeah.
And the I-Mass seemed to have some, well, I guess they weren't ancient, because the I-Mass, they seemed to mention that they were their sworn enemies or something, right? Isn't that what Gruntle says?
Can't remember.
I think it does. But yes, they have issues.
Enemy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I just think of the Jagged as the sworn enemy of the Tull I-Mass.
Yeah, they're kind. I like this. Well, okay, this might be a historical perspective of people sort of interpreting the I-Mass Jagged Wars, or did Tull mention this? I don't remember. But in Gardens of the Moon, I think we find out that the problem the I-Mass had with the Jagged is that the Jagged sort of ignored them, like the way we ignore ants, and the I-Mass couldn't stand that. and then like they have these deep philosophical discussions here about, are we like these two creatures that are fighting and then they could never get out of this pit and they're stuck in this endless cycle. So that was interesting to see the historical version of it, of the events that transpired, the opinion of the people who are looking back on that, and then these guys too. We still don't know what's motivating the I-Mass need for genocide, I think. Or do we? I think we'll find out more in this book.
Yeah, because it does seem quite extreme what they're doing. I thought that it was due to the tyrants, I guess. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But it is...
But some of the Jaghut teamed up with the I-Mass against the tyrants. And then the I-Mass still took out the other Jaghuts. I don't know. I did want to ask a question here. What did everybody think about this? Because in the prologue, it talks about these ancient wars of the Tull I-Mass and Jaghuts, the world torn asunder, and it describes like armies going at it. And I hate to disagree with Kinachik Karbarn, but that's not what we see. When we see a mom and her two kids getting chased down by a couple I-Mass, and then when she gets killed, we get this little, thus ended the third war. So do we think there really were armies going at it, or was it just tribes of I-Mass taking out family units of Jaghut? Because that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. And at some point they talk about how how much their numbers have gone down, and I think they mentioned 12 people, that they are down to 12. If that's what you're down to, how many did you start with?
Yeah.
I think that there's so much to say here. It's tough without remembering, in detail kind of what is revealed or not revealed in this book versus later books or what we've read until now. I definitely, get the sense that it was never armies as we might imagine armies against the Talon I-Mass or the I-Mass as they were. And that, I mean, if anyone had armies, it was the I-Mass. And the Jagged, by their nature, are solitary people who literally live on their own because of just the way they view the world. They think that's...
They've talked about that in what we've read.
Yes.
Is that they're
yes.
solitary. They don't even hang out with each other.
And I think something that embodies that and kind of gives you, in a very potent example, kind of what their culture is like, is that these children were, I forget the term they use, but like at a certain point, the kids are like, there's some term that's it like evokes cutting, or like this extreme violent separation of children from their parents, where they go off and live on their own. And that's how they could tell that these children were not yet of age. The I-Mass could tell the Jagged children were not very old at all, right? Because they hadn't been cut away emotionally, psychologically from their mother. And at the same time, I think something that's easy to skirt past is that the Jagged created an ice age, the ice age of this planet. They say that very explicitly here. I know this is something that is reiterated elsewhere. The Jagged, like if you think of our ice age, the ice age we all think about, just imagine if one species purposefully created that ice age, right? The power that would take, right? To fundamentally shift nature and, create, I mean, not create it, but kill who knows how many species, right? And then, you have the tyrants, right? Who are, bastards of unimaginable might, like Raced, who, are scary motherfuckers. Like if you think of these people as being able to create an ice age, like you think of then, well, what do you do when one of them is like, I'm actually king now, and you all have to bow to me, right? And what do you do then when you have all of these? You're in a people who perhaps are more easily subjugated because individually you're not as powerful. All that said, that is not to come to me defending the genocide of the Jagged, but rather to talk about then how easy it is to other, right, these people, that like the Jagged solution, instead of kind of interacting with the or the I-Mass solution, rather, instead of interacting with Jagged in any way we would maybe consider civilized, is, well, let's just kill them all and let's dedicate our entire lives to that, and to view them as something else entirely, because they are long-lived and they are all-powerful, and it leads to 30 whatever pogroms, right, which are just massacres. I mean, it's a word that in our society evokes anti-Semitic genocides, and I think that speaks to the character of it, right? Oh man, I'm just kind of wandering at this point, but it's tough stuff.
I wonder if the reason is sort of like nobody should have this sort of power, and even just having this power is too dangerous, and that's why they kind of have to kill all of them. I don't know how that compares to, the gods, I guess, because the gods, I'm sure, have a lot of power too. Because otherwise, I don't see why they wouldn't be able to, like you said, talk to them or change them or whatever. You know what I mean? Because societies do change. It's not like people stay the same all the time. I don't know.
I think it's a combination of the very real threat of power and what one individual with that power can do, and the distance of these people at large, where they are, again, easily othered because they're not interacted with. They are far away. They're living in their towers. They're elsewhere. In their small, 1 to less than 10 people communities, and so it is this deadly combination of like very. I mean, this isn't a spoiler to say that like the I-Mass are Neanderthals, right? Like very explicitly. This isn't something that's ever like revealed to you in the series, but this is something that I know Erikson has talked about. And so Neanderthals, right? Right, in our interview, right?
Yeah.
If you listen to the interview, I'm sure you heard him talk about that, right? And a lot of the world building in this world is like based on like our world as opposed to just like kind of classic Tolkien fantasy. And although it definitely has that too, because the Jagged are 100% orcs anyway.
Well, Tolkien is supposed to be sort of connected to our world in a sense.
Sure.
Vaguely,
Scientifically speaking, right? Talking.
Well, he did say it was supposed to make a mythology for like our world. I think he said something like that. But anyways.
No, yeah, you're right. Yes, for England, yeah.
Yeah, for England.
Anyway, that it's very human, I feel, and Neanderthals are related to human, and a lot of us have Neanderthal DNA inside of us because there was interbreeding, and there's lots of interesting science about this out there that you can look up. But to kind of just go, well, maybe we just kill this thing. I mean, you can see like humans, we have genocided untold, number of species, just cause, right? So then imagine what we do when there's a species that like has the power to subjugate us, right? Because I do feel like the I-Mass we should read as very similar, if not 1-to-1 with humanity, right? I mean, they're easily even mixed up as such. When you look at them, they just look like they have like rounder, broader features, a little more stout.
I don't know have we like completely erased any. Well, I don't know if it happened that much in history. Did cultures completely erase other cultures, like kill everyone? Or that's more, that didn't really happen. It's more like they got absorbed into the conquering.
Are you talking about like human cultures or like
human cultures, I guess? Because the Talon is very like killing everyone is quite radical, I guess. It's very extreme.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely gives Nazi, not to just throw that word around, but I think it speaks to the most extremes, certainly. But you think of the Americas, and like, while you could blame a lot of the genocide on like disease, there still was a degree of like conquer and kill and forcefully assimilate,
Well, I'm just saying we still have First Nation people. It's not like we killed all of them. Well, I didn't, but
right.
You know what I mean? Nobody did, I guess.
I guess my pushback would be there are peoples and civilizations that no longer exist, that did exist 1,000 years ago that no longer do.
Yeah.
And there are lots that do still exist, however small in whatever form they do, but there are absolutely civilizations that have been wiped off the face of the earth.
Yeah. Or if you want to think different, because like, I don't know, we don't have like other intelligent races, right? Where here they're literally different, right? Well, like us, it's just humans. So, you can't differentiate me from a French person or whatever, right? If you take away all the cultural stuff, right? But there you can see they're different.
So I'm going to throw a question, and this is kind of throwing a bomb into this conversation. Do you think if human beings now or in the past, I mean, theoretically, I guess this argument would be like something like 500 to 1,000 years ago, or even tens of thousands of years ago, interacted with a different species, and maybe there is archaeology and anthropology to speak to this with the Homo erectus and Homo Neanderthal and all that. Do you think we would just genocide them if we, for whatever reason, because things that were or species that were similar enough to us to be sapient, but not, and dangerous, therefore, but not similar enough to be like, oh, they're animals. They're out there being different, being less.
I wonder. Maybe?
I wonder if the more interesting question is, do you think we are capable of that? But here's the thing, though. There is a small group of people that seems to me, because Pranjol is basically informing Kilava, hey, we're doing the ritual, and she's not even interested. She doesn't give a shit about any of this. She wants to leave. And Onos Tulan did something to, I guess, he killed all his clan people so that he can be disconnected to them. So there are always some people who do the cruel decision making for everyone, and it seems to me tyrants, yes, that this group of people decided that the I-Mass are going to conduct a ritual that will keep them alive for 300,000 years, as it turns out, to conduct genocide.
But don't you think they would all have had to agree, or do you think they were forced?
I mean, Kilava had to refuse and leave, right? The others are probably, I'd imagine that there'd be some very neutral I-Mass who'd be like, yeah, okay, this is what everybody is doing. Cool, I'll go to the party too. And
I bet there's a lot of those, to be completely honest. If they're similar to human beings, there's a lot of those people. But anyway,
that's probably the majority group, right? And then these people, and they have conviction too, because Prancho's like, yeah, I've seen the future, bro, and I've seen myself 300,000 years old. So where was I going with this? Yeah, I think I think a very small group of people of the currently established small group already made the decision, and then everybody had to just sort of tag along.
Okay.
It's an interesting idea. I honestly, to respond to my own question, I honestly don't know. Like throwing that bomb into the conversation, I genuinely don't know the answer. I mean, obviously we are capable of like horrid violence, but I don't know if we're capable of like single-handedly, like, or not single-handedly, but committing our whole species to the genocide of another species. Like that almost feels like a waste of time. Like I can't believe that the I-Mass were like, we're all gonna just like become skeletons now. We're gonna live forever and suffer to make sure that no more Jagged exist on this planet or anywhere else.
After a couple of years, they would kind of get, change their mind, at least a decent number of them, like people change their mind all the time. Like I can't imagine thousands of years that nobody changes.
Yeah, but we don't know
mind, right?
We don't know what the out is, right? We don't know how they get to exit from this thing that they have apparently agreed to.
Right.
I guess.
What is the magical oath? The other wrench I want to throw into the bomb I'm throwing into the conversation is the meta aspect of this in terms of fantasy as a genre, which is, from the first time I read this series, I have always equated the relationship between the I-Mass and the Jagged with the dwarves and the elves in Tolkien, to go back to Tolkien, right? That you have this like kind of classic it almost feels like a it's ice and fire, literally, right? That's their different warrens. The Jagged's warren of Omtos Falak is ice, and the I-Mass's warren of Talon, which is where we get the term Talon I-Mass, is aspected towards fire. And so you have these rival races, and the Jagged are like less emotional, more isolated. They separate themselves very individually, and the I-Mass are hordes. They are like, I think it's very easy also to miss how like they're kind of in some way treated like the classic necromancer D&D hordes of the undead.
True.
And so that's why, Varsha, your point, I think, speaks to kind of what maybe the point is of their people. And then likewise, why certain characters like Tull or Kalava stand out, right, as these individuals pushing back against their cultural norms. And similarly, beyond that, they're like genre norms, right, where you again, you have these ice and fire races, these elves and dwarves, whatever, right? And what does it take to kind of mend the bridge or to break it forever, between these two species? And that is, I feel like this is Erikson playing with those tropes of like, with a number of different influences, but not least Neanderthals, exploring that space.
Yeah. And I think this is kind of brilliant in terms of structuring narrative around themes, because I think the whole, I forget who it was, maybe it was Lorne, who has this philosophical musing about how the humans of this world are the descendants of the I-Mass, particularly in the violence that they what's the word I'm looking for, that they engage in the world, right? And so, like, having these undead creatures as a reminder of what humans are capable of, or maybe are exceeding in what they do, I think that's quite brilliant, because I feel like every time you might agree with a group of people or cheer some form of violence through this narrative, all you have to do is stop and look at the I-Mass and see just how ridiculous their vendetta was. And it's ridiculous just for how long it lasts. Nothing else. I don't know if their reasons need justification or whatever. 300,000 years later, they still aren't done with whatever it is that's driving them. And so they are this constant reminder throughout the narrative. Yeah, I think that's just brilliant.
Yeah, that's a great point. I hadn't even thought about it like that. So true. Steve, I'm curious about your thought. We haven't heard about you since we started talking about this. What's your thought about the I-Mass Jagged dynamic?
So on this, I was wondering, and I think this is something we've talked about before, but with like Whiskey Jack and him planting the bombs and some other things, but I don't really get the impression that there's a side that we should be rooting for or against, because they've all done bad things, and which is probably true in history too. But we have this kind of a affinity for the side that we're on whenever there's a conflict. But with this, I kind of feel like I'm not sure if it's because I don't know who to root for or who to root against, because they all do bad things.
I'm sure you can root for the kids and the woman that got
Well,
killed.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
But has the other side done the same thing at some point? I mean, is of course you're rooting for the kids, not you don't want the kids to be killed, but you want them to survive. But I think in every instance where they have some kind of interaction, there's going to be a side where one of them is in a not so great position and gets kind of screwed over. So it just depends on where you are in the conflict and what you're witnessing at that particular point.
Yeah. Maybe you can't pick a side, but you can pick individual people.
Yeah, I think you can pick, certain situations you can root for certain people in, but I think that's something that is interesting about this book because or the series so far anyway, is that there's not really, there's characters that you grow to enjoy, but then they do bad things. And it's almost sometimes challenging to still like a character like Whiskey Jack who does something that's going to kill innocent people, but you still like him because of other things that have happened. So, but I think that's kind of just the gray area that war and conflict exists in, that everyone does bad things.
Yeah. True. I do think in this book, though, at least for most of it narrative, we haven't got into it, but most of the narrative, there is definitely a bad guy.
Yeah, so far, yeah.
For this specific one, well, we haven't gotten into it yet, really, but...
Well, I think when we talk about a long-term conflict that has been going on for this long, I think each side has done things. It's not really an oppressor, and well, maybe, but anyway, I'm talking
the Jagged one. Yeah, I meant the current day Penyon domain versus, one armor host, etc. I think there's definitely a good side on that conflict, but
but I am definitely rooting against the kids. So
against the kids. All right. Wrong series, Steve.
I'm going full of Arsha here, and
Yes, I was about to say.
That's right.
You're thinking of a different series to root against the kids.
Well, they already lost, kind of. I would, for now. I don't remember if anything happens to them later, but as to now, they kind of lost.
Yep, and probably have been for 300,000 years.
Yeah.
Wait, is it 300 or 200,000? Like
300.
it matters.
300.
Yeah. Thank you.
One thing I just thought about was because we're talking about the rent and putting a person to sort of close the rent and then he's stuck there, right? Didn't they do the same sort of in the second book when they went into the other dimension and there was a rent and but they didn't. He didn't actually go, right? But they talked about doing that, right? But it's not the same rent. It's just casually.
Well, they did do this. Yeah, it was the same thing essentially. There we had a Tull I-Mass say he was going to sacrifice himself, and instead he sacrificed the dead body of I don't know what is it, an Tisti Edor?
Well, he's not dead, right? Otherwise, he wouldn't work if he's dead.
Yeah.
So he's probably still alive, but
at least it is Andy's dead or not dead, but guarding that rent with his
he's perpetually in torment and whatever. He probably already was, maybe, because he was just ahead or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not the same rent. It's just like it's a common.
No,
I guess it's a way
that
of
was a
closing.
rent that was in the. That was a rent in the Shadow Warren.
Okay.
Correct. This is, and then this was here at the outside of Morn on this continent. Do we know what continent this is? I mean, I know what it is, but I don't know if they've said
I think we know because they say
they have. It's Genobacchus. Yeah, because they say Daruka stands north of it.
Yeah.
Does anyone else picture the soul or person who's holding the rent of the Warren, sort of like Vitruvian man in this X shape, holding it? That's the picture I have in my head.
Keeping it open.
Barely.
Yeah.
Or like Spider-Man, that trying to stop the train.
I do remember this part though. I remember it. There's a couple of parts like this part, and then the what's his name? The Kalor destroying his whole empire thing.
Yes.
So then. Are we ready to jump
That's
forward?
A good trend.
I guess about 200,000 years to.
I definitely used a lot of things from this book in my own RPG adventures.
Oh, you did.
It's nice. It's cool as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, some of his ideas. Yeah, one of my characters, his end thing of his character was getting put in somewhere to seal the whatever dimension to prevent bad things from happening. That was his ending for his campaign, because I remember this part. I was like, that's pretty cool. So I'm gonna give him the choice to do it if he wants or not.
Sad for the guy, but cool for the story.
Erikson's going to be in touch.
So Kalor, wait, is that the next one, or I thought there was
Yeah.
I
a
think
chain
so.
thing before?
Yes, it is.
That's the second half
Oh
of the
yeah,
prologue.
it's about the same dude. So apparently they brought down this god, uh, with the intention of destroying Kalor, and he had gotten
Yeah.
so powerful that they needed to bring a god from another world
Mm-hmm.
who crashed into the world like a meteor. And
Yeah, there's meat pieces of God everywhere.
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's
Shattered
clarify
a
some of
continent
this.
is what it says.
Right. These are wizards doing this, right? These are mages who are like, fuck this Kalor guy, this tyrant. So they summon a god from another reality and, yeah, blow up the continent, basically.
yeah.
And then Kalor wrecks shit.
Yeah.
Or seems to.
I mean, it's a
and
very, I don't know if cool, but it's very spiteful thing to do. If I can't have it, nobody can have it.
right.
Yes.
Right? Very, no, it's very childish, I guess, in a sense. Because I think that's what a lot of children would do. Is like, oh, I can't have it, I'm gonna break it.
Yeah, fuck you.
Right?
And this is, if you don't remember, from Gardens of the Moon, the guy about whom one of the epigraphs, Kaladin Brood declared that he never learns.
Yeah.
That's right. I that was the crazy thing about rereading Gardens of the Moon is like, wait, Kalor is in this for like one scene, one
Yeah.
chapter, but he is in it.
He
And
is.
here he features more heavily, obviously, and will continue to play a part in this book. That's not a spoiler. He's obviously an important character here. And
Yes.
yeah, he is confronted by 3 elder gods, meaning gods before the gods, most of the gods that they worship in the modern day. We've been introduced to Gruntle, who is one of them, right?
Yeah.
Who we have also been introduced as having created some of the Warrens.
Mhm.
And we are
There is
introduced
a temple
to
to him in
Draconis,
Darujhistan. Yes.
right? Yeah, Karul has a temple in Darujhistan, and then we have Draconis, and then Sister of Cold Nights, who
Yes.
it takes forever for them to name, and for some reason does not have a name like the rest of them, which will annoy me until the end of my days. But you know, Erikson and Elsamont, you do your thing.
No, it's fun to do a different thing. Everyone
Yeah.
has
That's right.
patterns, and then you do one which is different.
That's right. Everyone has that one sibling who's like got to be the special snowflake, and doing their own thing off there.
Yes.
Sister of Cold Nights is she's living her best life.
Right.
Sister of Cold Nights, and eventually she'll shorten it to Night Chill. So, I mean,
Right.
you know.
That was the not fully explicitly revealed, but if you're paying attention, it is the
Yeah.
reveal
Yeah.
in these chapters, right? That Night
Plays
Chill,
the game of mortals.
right, who gets blown
And
up
that
at
was
the
her
beginning
curse.
of Gardens of the Moon, right?
Yeah.
She gets ripped to pieces and blown up, and is an elder god, it turns out, the entire time, and is also now one half of a spirit inside of Silver Fox.
But why
So that's the thing.
was he so weak then?
Because drop
She-
mic.
Because she played the
She
game of
walked-
mortals. I'm assuming she
Yeah.
limited herself while she was, pretending to be just a mage.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Like,
just
that was
that.
because what fun would it be to pretend to be human if you weren't pretending to be human? So to speak.
I think it's worth noting that I think all of these gods are in some way sort of corporeal, like the way we talk about ancient gods, as being like, or even if you were to get Abrahamic with it, like Jesus is like supposed to be God, right? But God in like mortal form, like
It's sort of an exception, though.
Sure. Okay.
For
Let's go
Abrahamic
then
gods.
back to like the Zeus, Odin,
Yeah, those
shit,
ones, yeah.
right. Like you can kill them, right?
Hmm.
Like they in some way their spirit lives on because all spirits live on, but like Zeus and Odin, despite being these incredibly powerful beings, can be killed, and the elder gods and any god are no different.
Yeah.
And so I think that's worth noting is even when they're disguised as mortals or whatever, they could be killed. Draconis seemingly has been killed also, that his fate was that
Well,
he was
yeah.
going to be destroyed by something of his own making, which I don't believe we have clarified at this point. So I will leave it at that.
No, we have clarified. Oh wait, is it maybe in chapter 2? Maybe it's in chapter 2.
Is that well? If that's in chapter 2, then it's within the bounds. But I feel like we haven't gone
Is
there
it?
yet.
I thought we said we're stopping at chapter. Oh, I don't know.
No,
Yeah,
we did.
we're stopping at
we
chapter
stopped
2,
at
but-
chapter 2. I just didn't
Okay.
think they mentioned it.
I thought Lady Envy mentions it. There was some. I thought someone mentioned it. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh yeah,
Maybe I'm
Lady
wrong.
Henry. Damn. Yes, I think she does.
I'll
I'm
take
not
your
sure.
word for it.
Yeah,
No, I'm not sure.
I
I could
think
be
we can
wrong.
talk about it. It'll come up again. We can talk about it then. But what was I saying?
Kalor. We have
Kalor.
Kalor.
Yes. There was so much that went over my head the first time. For instance, the Night to Sister of Cold Night reference wasn't going to get that in 1,000 years. Probably wouldn't
Yeah.
even
No.
have got it this time if you guys
No.
hadn't told me during that spoiler discussion. I mean, it's kind of obvious in retrospect, and I had no idea. Okay, we have that's chapter 3 stuff, but we'll talk about it then. But I also thought I didn't know why the god was brought down from another realm, but it's right there. It was to destroy this guy, this seeming jerk.
Yeah.
That's it.
Let's be clear here, by the way. There's a lot of things you can say about Kalor. What crimes he may or may not have committed. But this guy is an asshole. And so
Yeah.
one way or another, he is nothing if not a jerk.
Skull. Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But most of his crimes.
Asshole.
Yeah. I think the thing that makes him feel not as bad is like most of his crimes happen off scene, at least for now. Like we haven't actually seen them. It's been told of them technically.
Yeah.
So it's gonna
I think the so I was very clearly hating on him the first time, but the god was brought down to kill him. Okay, some people thought that he was awful enough that they needed to bring down a god to kill him, or possibly they wanted his power. Maybe. I don't think that's super clear. And the summoners apparently got destroyed in the process. But
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you think Kalor was democratically elected as leader of his empire?
No, but is any king?
True.
My point exactly. I'm not going to feel that bad about them usurping the king who claimed power through force of sorcerous might.
Well, yes, but then if that's all they wanted to do? And well, okay, so some of these people said I don't even know why I'm arguing with you. I kind of agree with you, but I want to hash this out.
No, this is a good one. Yeah.
So what was I saying? Yeah, I guess one of them said, you kept slaves and whatnot, and I think that everybody is just afraid of how he got so powerful so quickly, because apparently he dominated an entire continent in 50 years or something.
Yeah.
And he is now long lived. I don't know how long he had lived when this happened. So I don't think we have enough information at this point to say whether he was a cruel tyrant that people were really feeling bad. I mean, what he did at the end completely
he killed
horrible.
everyone, so
What he did at the end completely horrible.
Yeah.
But until that point,
He killed his entire continent.
Yes.
Listen, I'm setting a stopwatch now, and in the next 50 years, let's see what I can do with this continent of North America, and then we can have this conversation and go from there and
All
see,
right, Carl, if
you can judge me and through me Kalor based on it. Kalor, maybe that's instead of Night Carl, I should have been
that's your name for next.
Carlor. That's my next name.
Nice.
I'm sorry. All the people who listen don't get to see me every week changing my name and the stupid shit I come up with week in and week out. I am this week Night Carl. Anyway, I know. I think Kalor is an interesting character in that I think it is very easy at first glance to read him as two-dimensional, which is, I think, what you're getting at, Varsha. And I think especially with the context of a reread, you realize that there's a lot of shit going on underneath the surface, and not there's a lot. That's as much as I feel comfortable saying. There are things going on that maybe, he isn't as Voldemort as he seems at first glance.
Right.
He isn't Sauron. But
I mean,
I
the
don't
text
want to say
says,
more than that.
I don't know if you can trust the text, but in the text it does say like, oh, it was worse than a jagged tyrant. It does say, oh, it was really bad. I don't know if you can trust it, but
Okay, the jagged tyrant too. What data do we have about just how bad they are? We've seen Reist, who just casually dropped a bridge, and Gruntle and some other people harp on that a little bit in the first chapter. So they treat people casually, and what the
everyone
I-Mass
says they're
want
really
to kill,
bad.
and the I-Mass think they're really bad. And
Yeah.
let's remember that these guys conducted a ritual that kept them alive-ish for 300,000 years to kill, just
Yeah.
on a vendetta to kill. So can we really trust anything they
The
say?
jagged must be even worse, right?
Well, okay. Okay, I want to unpack that.
It all comes back to the jagged and the I-Mass.
So, Carl, you wanted to talk about the relationship between, so we're doing.
I think I covered all the bases I wanted to cover there.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I was just trying to blame you for my argumentativeness. But okay, just for a sec. So their reasoning is that they don't want tyrants to come, so they will kill everybody. But that seems, that just feels like rationalization. Anyway, that's that. We can move
I'm
on.
gonna assume that basically their empire was like everyone was a slave. That's how I assume basically. That's what it must have been for people to talk about them like that way. That's the only way I can imagine it, right?
But Dan, you know what they say about people who assume?
What do they say?
What do they say?
They're right,
It makes
mostly.
Yeah, they're right.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, this is good. I'm just now noticing now that Shannon has changed his name to Kalor is a tyrant. So this is good. I'm glad we're spreading the message for this century.
Yeah, I think we need information from more than people who might be interested in bringing up his downfall so that they can take his power. But that said, I largely agree with you guys. I just think there might be some missing information.
What is even Kalor's power, though? I don't even know what his power is. I guess he has a power of saying things and they happen. Is that his
He's some
power?
kind of mage.
Well, because he did curse them, and it did happen, and they cursed him. So I guess all of his gods and powers.
I think there was something to do with the whole cursing going on, which is what allowed him to curse them. I don't know the specifics, but they all curse him, and then in his, getting cursed, he was able to curse them.
So if someone curses you,
or no,
you
vice
can curse
versa.
them.
I'm sorry, they cursed. Yeah, so he cursed.
That's the
I don't
rules.
know, but yeah, he doesn't seem to have any power beyond he's just a dude. But he did kill an entire continent, so clearly he's got some power.
Yeah, he did destroy it with magic, seemingly, and I think someone mentioned that he can do magic of some sort.
Okay.
He also has a big sword.
I don't know.
He's a
We'll
really
have to
big
keep
sword.
an eye out for him because, yeah, like I mean, if he did destroy his whole continent with magic, maybe it's not magic that he has, but magic he has access to. So he doesn't necessarily always have that power.
Makes
Yeah, I
sense.
wonder how he did it. And I wonder how does the curses work? Because can gods just say things and the curse happens? But does it needs to be like a smart thing? It needs to be like a funny, sort of ironic. You know what I mean? Because that seems the rule, right? I don't know.
With the right moonlight.
Yeah, I don't know.
In the right
Because
rhyme.
I'm looking at the
Yeah.
I'm looking at the page here where they curse him, or Draconis curses him, and I don't see anything beyond just he curses him.
Yeah. Because
Like, there's
can't they
nothing
just
special.
why can't just say something worse, like, "Oh, you're cursed with never being powerful again," or losing your superpowers, or you're cursed with, I don't know, like you're impotent forever and you have all these other things. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, that kind of is what they curse
yeah.
him with.
Well,
he
it's a
can
bit
never
more
ascend.
complicated, I guess. Yeah. But then I
Stuck
did
just
also
being
think
a
about
dude.
it with all the Greek curses, stuff like that. They're always very sort of smart, and you're like, why does it have to be that way? Can't you just kill him or be
They
done
have
with it?
dramatic irony.
Yeah.
Is what you're getting at, right?
Yeah.
Like it is speaking to some inherent sin or flaw of.
It's like you're trying to teach them a
cursed.
lesson or something. But just kill him.
Right.
Just be done with it.
Well, and they talk about three voices cursing him. Maybe there's something too about like gods coming together and doing it. I don't know.
But he just needed the one voice to curse three gods.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's very cool. It's very cool. I'm not saying it's not cool.
Well, he was getting cursed, so he was
That's true.
So
yeah.
Fate or whatever let him go ahead and give one out himself, or three himself.
Maybe it's maybe it's some action reaction thing where you get three curses, you get to give back.
Listen,
maybe that's why they don't do it, because they exposes you to a counter curse.
That's true. You've opened a channel and you must get a curse back. And if they're not, and if they're So should we talk about the curse?
We do know his. I was going to say we do know his curses come true. Cruel, we know by the time of like Drugistan in book 1, he's mostly forgotten. He's still alive, but he's mostly forgotten. And Draconis, I looked. Actually, it's in chapter 1 when they introduce Lady Envy. They mentioned she's the daughter of Draconis, who who created Dragnipur and had it turned against him by Animandarake.
Okay.
So we do know that is what happened. And then Sister of Cold will be torn apart, which, if you remember reading in the first book, that's how she died. She got torn apart by these demons.
Right. So the Dragnipur thing, Draconis says that the weapon or the thing that he's forging has a certain finality to it, and that he's going to change the design so that he can overcome the curse. But it seems like the process of changing it might have made it worse. Like, we don't know why Rake done it against him.
Yeah. And how did Rake get it, I guess? I don't know. Maybe they were enemies, I guess?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, and I did want to mention that. So what was the... So are we under the impression that Dragnipur originally maybe destroyed souls? Like, that was what it did? It actually, like, annihilated a soul so that it didn't go to Hood's realm? And then he redesigned it so that instead it does what it does. It captures souls somehow.
But there's no escape from it.
I don't know.
It is still quite final, right?
It is still final, but you don't go on to Hood's realm. You instead go into Dragnipur.
But I feel like you would want to go to Hood.
Warren, that is.
I feel like people prefer going to Hood compared to Dragnipur.
Oh, they do. I mean, you would prefer that than being chained to a wagon, dragging around something. Like it's. We don't know why he made Dragnipur. Like, what was the point of making the sword? I don't like. They don't talk about why he decided to do this.
And he's apparently been doing this since the beginning of time. He needs a hobby, Shannon. Everybody can understand.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't like Hood. I don't know. Maybe he's got a problem with Hood.
Why do all these crafters make like swords and things? Can't they make like a super cool pot, or you know what I mean? Something like really useful.
You should read Irish mythology. I don't know if you have, but there's a super cool pot in Irish mythology.
Oh. What does it do?
The Dagda. He has a magic pot.
What does it do?
I don't know what I don't remember off the top of my head what it does.
But it's gold and it's at the end of a rainbow? No, it's a different thing, I think.
No, that's a different Irish thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that's Lucky Charms. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love seeing Steve. Steve, before we lose you to the sleep warren, what was the thing you wanted to talk about?
Well, I forgot to mention at the intro about how excited I was to hear Hairlock's name again.
Yes,
Hashtag
airlock, born again.
He lives on.
Lives
But
on.
yeah, the other thing was just Paran, and we have a little bit of hints of what's to come with him, or at least an idea that what happened to him before is significant later in the series. But just I think his not being accepted because of his background and because he comes from a kind of a privileged family, and him trying to fit in and trying to kind of integrate into the group and be part of the group, and also being kind of shunned and being kind of a joke for some of them, and just how what he's been through is how it's going to affect him negatively later on, because he did go, and I kind of forgot about how dramatic and how kind of dark and twisted that whole experience was, because I remember that being very like, wow, this is really dark, and I kind of forgot about it until it kind of revisiting it or kind of exploring it again. So curious to see how that'll come back and affect him later in the series.
Yeah, his dreams, the nightmare nature of his dreams, that's quite horrible. I didn't remember that too. And apparently he's seeing the dreams of the hounds, maybe.
Yeah.
And
I guess,
go ahead.
I don't know, because he has the blood of a hound in him, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he touched the one that
Yeah.
or one of the two that Rake slayed. And he let them free, right? Inside Dragnipur, he let them free, and they went somewhere. And in this, I don't know if it's him or someone. They're guessing that it could be the Warren of Darkness or the Realm of Darkness that they are being sent to. Do we know anything about the Realm of Darkness at this point, other than Draconis' brief mention of it, which may or may not be a reference to the same thing?
Seems very close to the shadow realm.
That's
I
true.
wonder what the difference is.
There's a difference, but that as I think that's as far as we can say.
But
at this
what's the
point.
difference?
Yes. Well, one is dark and the other is not completely dark.
Well, shadow can be completely dark.
I think it's darkness is the absence of light, and shadow is the darkness cast by light. Is maybe how I would define it.
But if you take a subset of a shadow, then that is absence of light. Shadows is, well, I guess darkness is a subset of shadow, I feel.
Darkness is a
I don't know.
subset.
There's darkness, and then shadows need light to make shadows.
Yeah, but everything that's
Yeah.
dark is in shadow in our world, if you think about it. Yes.
I would say that I mean I don't know if there's a perfect metaphor for this, but like it's almost the sort of, it's like a spectrum where at one end you have darkness and one end you have light, and shadow is somewhere between them in terms of like it exists as this relationship between light and shadow. Like if you think of like an idea of like elemental darkness, there is no light there. And you think even like you experience it personally, like there is no light creating whatever it is, you're dealing with. While like shadow is I think this is a scientific thing too, where like a shadow is like the way that light like bounces off a person, right? And like doesn't reflect fully,
But if I'm inside my house and I close the lights, I'm technically the shadow of the house. That's why, because the sun is still there, it's causing a shadow. Or if I'm on the other side of the earth at night, the earth is casting a shadow.
Okay.
That's why I'm in dark.
But that's on Earth. What if there was no sun?
Well,
what if you were just in dark?
Yeah, but there is.
But there is sun here. But what if you were somewhere where there was no sun?
I guess, yeah. As long as there is only at least one source of light, everything that's in dark is in shadow. I think. As long as there's one source of light.
But you need light to make shadow. If there were no light whatsoever, you'd have just shadow.
I know what they're doing in the book.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing the whole thing. I'm just trying to be pedantic. You know what they're doing? Like, you need light for dark. You need darkness for light, and it's complementary, and you can't have one. Yeah, I know that stuff, but I'm just being annoying.
You're trying to outdo my
good job.
Kalor arguments.
Yeah.
What, Dan? Where was this when we were talking to Steven Erikson?
I didn't have
Come
time.
on, you
Yeah.
did bullshit. Bullshit. You're a coward, is what you are.
Maybe. Maybe.
Oh man.
Maybe.
Unbelievable. Next time we got a whole nother book. This is the opportunity. We're gonna drag him back just so you can ask him about the difference between darkness and shadow.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll spend a good hour about it. We'll get to spend a good hour on it.
That's how, again, we're going to kill all of people's parasocial relationships, which includes having them sit in on the worst interview of all time, where they sit there and they go, oh God, oh no, what is the author going to say?
Okay.
Oh no.
Well, I do think you know.
No,
I
I
think-
think
Well, this is
that makes
perfect
sense with the source of light, that everything in darkness is in shadow. But also, I think the darkness might, in the book at least, might have the quality of, I don't know, what was it before the Big Bang? That I think we might need to go as far back as that for the darkness
Maybe.
in this
But I think
world.
they're also connected to like the there's Betriste and the Anidor and stuff like that. So I'm sure there's some connection there with like all the light and dark ones connected in some way to make the gray middle ones and shadows. And I'm sure there's something there too.
Yeah, I think
For
more
this
info,
might be. Is
read
this the book we find
Carcanus.
out? Yes, I want to. But is this the book where we find out more about the Tistandi and?
I
Well,
don't
we
think
didn't mention
so.
Tist
No.
either. But okay,
Next book.
next book. All right, next book we get some stuff. But
Or no, fifth book.
fifth book definitely. I wonder if there are mentions before that. But anyway, the answers are coming, and when they do, it's interesting.
It's a bigger thing in the back half of the series, I would
Yeah.
say.
Okay.
In general,
Yeah.
it
is.
comes to the forefront in
Yeah.
the back half of the series. Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think darkness is the absence of light in more ways than just whatever absence there is in the shadow, because there could still be, I don't know, there are levels of darkness in the shadow, right? There's complete darkness, but even that is not sufficient, to your point. But the darkness of the void, I think, is the darkness here.
Okay. Sure. Another thing I thought was interesting when reading the Paran standpoint was because he does mention his sister, Kalor, right?
Yes.
And he
Yes.
says like, oh, I need to trust that she's gonna take care of the family. Does he know what's going on? Does he know more than we know?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think he knows less.
Never thought about it before, but probably not.
No,
Okay.
he,
In a way.
he for sure doesn't know about Felicin.
Okay.
Which
So he
I feel
doesn't
like
know
it
that
is-
shit. Okay.
The root of the question, right? I mean, I guess both
Yeah.
of his parents, right? Because they were just like dilettantes, whatever the fuck, living their lives, and he doesn't know they're dead, and he definitely doesn't know Felicin was enslaved. Like, he would think about it, right? Like, we are a little over 2 books into this series, but I feel pretty confident at this point saying that if Gano's Paran was aware that his little sister, his baby sister, was enslaved, and the middle sister was to blame in some way, he would think about it. He would reflect on that.
Yeah.
I don't think
Okay.
he's reflected
No,
on
and
that at
it
all
makes
because
sense. He was
doesn't-
away at war, and then at this point, he's now a fugitive or whatever. He's in exile.
Exactly.
So there's no reason in the world to think he would know.
Okay.
And worth highlighting, right, that like Deadhouse Gates takes place at the same time as Memories Vice. Like these books exist concurrently.
True.
That's right. The Trade Guild, that's right.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if there was some sort of plan that went awry or if there was no plan. Like, that's what I wasn't sure, I guess.
Not with Gano's, at least.
Okay, I
Yeah.
see.
I don't even know if he knows that his parents are dead.
No,
Because they
he
weren't
went back,
when
right? Or no?
He went back and they were alive. His family was
Yeah.
fine when he went
Oh, okay.
before all the events
Okay.
of Gardens of the Moon.
Yep.
How long has it been since Guardians of the Moon?
About a
Not
year,
that
I
long.
think.
But-
I think
No, but
about a
Paul-
year plus 2 months.
No, 2 months.
2
2
months since the end of Gardens of the Moon, but
Well,
since he visited his
2 months. It
family,
says 2 months since the fate.
right?
but since he went to visit the family, I guess.
Maybe
long
about
is
a
it?
year, I think.
Okay.
Not very long.
I see.
We actually can track this exactly. Here, I have the books in front of me, but the we're like Gardens of the Moon. It's easy to miss this, but it takes place over an extended period of time. That like the different parts take place at different periods of time. So I'm trying to figure this out while I
thought it was like
improvise.
a month or something, but maybe I'm wrong.
No,
That's what
it
it
was
felt like.
several months. Yeah, because
Right.
we had the Siege of Fail, and then they all traveled to Darujistan. I think that took several weeks, and then they were in Darujistan for a long time.
Okay.
If not a year, it was at least several months.
3
Okay.
years.
3 years. Okay.
3 years?
What?
Okay.
Yep.
Since Paran went to
1161 Burns Sleep is when Paran went home. And 1164 is when this book picks up in chapter 1.
So it's been a long
3
campaign.
years.
Okay.
Well, no, that's not the whole campaign either. Is because that 1161, you think about it, Ganos is a young lieutenant or whatever he is, and that's when the massacre happens, right? That we grilled Erikson about in the fishing village, and that is pre-campaign. And there's a time jump between Ganos getting noticed within that massacre. I don't even remember why he gets noticed, but he gets noticed for some reason when they're investigating that massacre. And then he goes home, and then cut to like a year or two. I think it's 2 years later. I want to say it's 2 years later. He is we're dealing with Pale and Darujistan and everything that comes.
But I thought he went to see his parents after the massacre.
He does, but like immediately after. And again, there's like 2 years after that he goes home.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because there was like a whole campaign that we've kind of had mention of with like Black Dog Forest and stuff, as because they started at the top of Genobacchus and moved down, and Pale's kind of halfway down. In fact, I think in that book they mentioned it was like the last of the free cities or something. So like that implied there were other cities that they all took before they got there.
Cool. Okay.
Right. So should we talk about the scene with the Crippled God? And I think I want to discuss this briefly. But sorry.
Well, book 1 starts off with our introduction to Gruntle.
Oh yeah, okay, we can go back.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We got to kind of talk a little bit about Gruntle.
I'm gonna put the brakes very quickly. We're skipping. We skipped entirely our big boy Mr. A, and that's AY.
Yes,
he's
the
god of the
one-eyed
A's.
The one-eyed
the
god.
one-eyed wolf, right?
Yes, the wolf. Yes.
Who? I mean, it's a prehistoric wolf. I'm blanking on his name. Tog? Is that right? Does that sound?
No.
Are we not giving his name?
I think. No, I think Tog might be.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we're not getting.
I think he is Tog, because Tog's teats is supposed to be ironic. So Tog therefore doesn't have teats. Therefore he's the man.
Oh, okay. That's the reason I thought it's the female, because of that.
Yeah. Well, I just remember Erikson talking about a lot of his curses are ironic.
Okay.
Like Hood's balls, god of death and life.
Okay.
So Tog's teats would make me think that Hood is, or that Tog is the boy.
Makes sense.
Interesting.
All right.
I'm trying to find this. There are two wolves. The point being, this is worth mentioning because this does come up in our 2 chapters. Right, exactly. There are 2 wolves inside you. Yeah. One male and one female, and one of the male has one eye, and is also an ancient elder god, or elder to the elder gods.
To the elder, I was gonna say to the elder gods, they considered him an elder.
Which this is the shit that fucking hooked me on this series. That I was reading this and I was like, oh my god, this stuff is happening 300,000 years ago, and then you're introduced to the freaking gods that exist before the gods existed. It's crazy. It's just like peak fantasy in that way. But there's the pathos too, right? In terms of like this god, this wolf is looking for his mate, right? That after the crippled god, the fallen one, came down and crashed on the continent of Genobacchus and splattered everywhere in a gory destruction, the she-wolf got split up and has disappeared. And so he-wolf was wandering with one eye, one of which got injured and destroyed in the fall of the crippled god, and decided to jump into a warren, which I don't know if we can definitively define. That reminds me, actually, that we are given reason now, if you're paying attention, to note that the disaster of the first empire, aka the first human empire of Kalor, after the crippled god fell, after everything, it's a nuclear wasteland. Imagine like the fallout from the TV show or video game Fallout, like gets sucked into a warren. That is the Imperial Warren. Cruel sucks that in and makes a new warren, and that is the Imperial Warren. And so that's why in book 1 or book 2 it is, where we're introduced to Pearl, the assassin, comes in, or like anyone travels through it. Gandalf's Paran in book 1 travels through it, and it's like nuclear wasteland. There's ash raining from the sky.
But tell me this, doesn't it seem like I kept getting the impression that the damage is recent, right? Like something came here and destroyed things recently, but we find out in this prologue that that's not true, that it's always been this wrecked wasteland, which means, like, does time move differently there, or is it that it still hasn't healed, or it never will?
I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to quote that, like a part of the passage, because my understanding is it's just the nuke from Kalor. I mean, if it's more recent, I have no idea what the hell it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I got the impression that they think it's recent, not that it is actually recent, but at least that they think it's recent. But yeah, I don't remember.
That's certainly possible. I mean, I think a major theme in the series is, the characters and therefore the reader, believing one thing, believing something is even maybe more, caused by humans or caused by, in the last like century or the last decade. And it ends up, that's almost like the main theme of Dead House Gates, right? Is like the history underneath the history, right? Like the civilizations that have been buried beneath the sand rising back up to the surface and impacting things. And I think we see that in a way, and an even like more extreme version of that in Memories of Ice, with hundreds of thousands of years and different species entirely shaping the course of events.
Yeah. So right. So that was interesting with the old wolf god and the 3 gods that we met. Who, yeah, I like the casual thought that the wolf has about how yeah, these are just kids, but these are the elder gods for the humans. But yes, are we now ready to talk about Gruntle?
Last little detail.
Yes.
Shannon.
No.
Well, Shannon, you mentioned you looked up. Thank you. It's Varsha. I'm sorry, Varsha. You looked up. Fandere is the female wolf, the A god. So we have Tog and Fandere are the two, the male and the female. Tog is the male. Fandere is the female. Those are the before humans, before whatever, sapient species, the gods that existed and are now scattered and separated tragically. I don't know about you, but I get really emotional thinking about these like divinely connected wolf gods who have been separated by this tragic event for hundreds of thousands of years. Like that shit fucking gets to me. That's one of those just like you're just like pressing my storytelling buttons. Like that does it. I'm there. Mr. Erikson's got me.
Yep. Yeah. I agree with you. And she's just wandering there, maybe. It's not even clear
Exactly.
if she's
You don't even
alive or
know.
dead.
Exactly. It's like the mystery is half the tragedy. Is you're like, where is Fandray alive? Like what is going around? Like on?
Yeah.
Like oh, it's
And
brutal. Anyway,
the wolf is one-eyed, and we've met some one-eyed things in the last book. There may or may not be a connection there, but anyway, Gruntle. Who wants to go? I think Dan, you wanted to talk about characters. Do you want to take this one?
Every character but this one.
Every character but this one.
Oh, really?
Really, you don't like Gruntle?
What?
No,
That's
crazy. He's fine. I mean,
that's actually wild. I thought Gruntle was going to be the one you'd point to as being like, it's crazy how even like this random like character they introduced in book 3 is like great.
No, he's cool. He's cool. I just like really like Talk the Younger and Lady Envy. Those are my favorite characters.
Valid.
Okay,
I approve of that.
That's very dynamic. It's yeah.
Agreed.
Well, they're great, but we do got to talk about Gruntle and how he leads us to Bocklin and Corbel Brooch.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What are my
We tried to talk about Gruntle for a long time. I think I took a long time to warm up to Gruntle my first time around, but now I am shocked at myself. And I think I also took a while to realize just, I guess, the tone of this thing. It's not serious at all. The first few chapters with Gruntle and the army with Picker and Blend, I think I may have been reading it as like with the expectation of more seriousness, so it didn't quite register just how funny it all was. So I love the casual and irreverent quality of the interactions between Gruntle and everyone around him, and also Picker and Blend while we're at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you get started off with hearing about this very beautifully described broken bridge, and you go, metaphor tasty. And then you get introduced to Gruntle, and you're like, here's the driest, most sarcastic motherfucker. And like you're not prepared for it. And then beyond him, you get introduced to like creepy servant dude who is working for even creepier two people. Like what's going on here?
Peter Reese.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
Why does his name sound like Emancipator? But yeah, Emancipor Reese.
Yeah.
And two really shady people who say, your master wants you to come into this hole with us.
Truly, exactly. Can you imagine being asked to walk into a hole by some creepy dude in a suit? Like it's oh my god.
Do it. Your master wants you to.
I don't know if it's the same with you guys, but do you also feel like Bolshlin and Corbin Brock don't fit in the sense, like in my mind, they're kind of like Victorian sort of nobles. That's how I imagined them, and how they're dressed and something like that. I feel like, I don't know, sort of Victorian style.
I do agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they speak like that too. I think they remind me of. I mean, they're not quite as funny, but some like PG Woodhouse type lord lady thing going on, dynamic going on. Like it's almost like they are being unintentionally funny in how they talk. Yeah.
And I don't know, but Emancipator Reese also, to me, I imagine him. I don't know if you know the butler from Scary Movie, the one with the hand, the weird hand. That's how I imagine he talks, and he. If anyone remembers that movie, the stupid movie. But...
No, that is actually kind of exactly the vibe. Is where these are like these weird like gothic comedy
Yeah.
horror characters amidst this like war epic, which like does have comedic like this is very much like we have Krupp, we have Iskarl Pust, and is it Magora?
Yeah.
Who's his wife we met at the end there, or they're not married yet, but
No.
spoiler, sorry. They're the OTP, one true pairing. Anyway, yeah, they do feel very tonally different. I'm with you with that, Dan. At the same time, the world, like they feel like tonally appropriate for this story at the same time. I don't know. It's how like they don't feel wrong to me in a way that they could. Maybe again, I feel like it's the sense of humor of the story at large, but at the same time, they do feel unique within the world. And we'll read more from them in the future is all I can say.
I just feel like there's some two Victorian necromancers that got somehow teleported to this world and we're like, oh, it's cool, let's just continue what we are doing.
they do have a very they have like Charles Dickens energy, you know. Like I feel like if Charles Dickens wrote like two like psychotic necromancers, like that's the energy, you know.
Yeah,
I like them.
They do say that they're not from around here.
True.
Right.
We don't know where they're from, do we?
No.
I don't know if
No,
maybe in the books. I haven't read their own books.
I don't know actually.
We'll read Blood Follows after we finish Memories of Ice, because that's next in publication order. What was I saying? Yes, Shannon, did you want to discuss more things about Gruntle? Sorry, we kind of took over or whatever.
No. You guys talked about pretty much. Yeah, no, I love Gruntle. Like right off the bat, I glommed right onto him. Like I love Gruntle. I love Stony Manakis, even though we don't actually see her in this chapter, just from what we hear about her. Harlow, Fishin, love him.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I like these little characters that were just introduced here. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the little fishing joke that he says he's got a fish, and Gruntle's like, I can inhale it in one go. I was trying to remember. I'm also reading All the Pretty Horses, and I was trying to remember where that joke was from, and I was like, that doesn't seem like the right tone for All the Pretty Horses, but I couldn't remember where it's. This is funny. This is the book.
I do feel like if I were to read this like with no like just jumped into Memories of Ice, actually I would maybe even have to cut out the prologue. If I just read chapter 1 straight through, I would immediately fall in love with Gruntle and everything that's going on there. But it's specifically the context of like the Malazan Marines and everything that's come before and these elder gods and all this that I'm like, oh, we're dealing with these freaking, you know, mercenaries. Like, who cares? That was me on my first read. I want to be clear. Knowing the context, knowing what we're going to get, like, I love Gruntle. And so if anyone is listening, if anyone is reading, you know, this is their first time through, stick with it. Like, these are great characters. This is a great storyline and really well written. I mean, like I forget if it's Dan or Varsha, whoever mentioned that, like, how funny it is. Like, you go in and you maybe expect something more serious, and like there is this dry sense of humor that it just it's beautiful. I love these characters so much, and certainly if you don't love them by now, by about halfway through the book, maybe a little before, I'm not going to give any more details than that. You will be. I know that's when I was like, oh my god, I would, you know, stand on the front lines and die for these characters. Like they're wonderful.
There was one Goodreads account I was following as they were reading Memories of Ice, and at the halfway point, they're like, "This is now a Gruntle fan account."
Exactly.
Yeah. So, moving on from there, we talk. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Dan.
Nothing. I just want to say that I was thinking. I guess I kind of just like necromancers. I don't know. I'm the only one that loves necromancers. I just love necromancers. They're so fun.
I'm with you
I don't
there.
know why they're so fun.
Yeah,
It,
Yeah,
I'm with you.
are they always funny though? Like I
I've
can't
read
have met
many
enough
funny
to have an
necromancer
opinion.
books, though.
Okay.
I feel like it's a trope of this or something. I've read a couple of, like, I don't know if you've read Johannes Cabal or something, or Johannes Cabal, or the World of Warcraft sort of book about the guy that gets resurrected, and it's from his point of view, and there's a necromancer girl. I don't know. That's really funny too. But I've read several funny necromancer books, though.
I've read the Sabriel books by
But those are not funny.
Yeah, those aren't funny.
Well, I mean, they're good. They're good.
Yeah, they're
They're
good.
very
I
good.
like them.
Very
They're
good.
not funny, but I like those books for the characters. I wasn't particularly a fan of the necromancy magic. So for me, I think I'm like neutral about necromancers. I don't have an opinion. But
They just feel cool or and fun. I don't know why. I don't know why they feel.
I mean, they are
like,
dressed all in black leathers.
maybe because it's so comically like evil sort of thing, but it you can't be serious many times. It's like, why would you do this if you're not just comically evil?
Yeah.
I mean, book-wise, I definitely think of like my only other like reference point is, and this is a very modern one, Tamsin Muir's like space fantasy, Gideon the Ninth, Loch Tomb Saga, which I love. Very stylized, very specific. Kind of has like a Joe Abercrombie tone.
Okay.
For anyone who hasn't read them, they're interesting. I mean, I love them. Totally love those books. But otherwise, I feel like I'm trying to remember where this comes from, but I also do feel like I have like a comedic association with necromancy. I'm trying to remember if this is like a video game thing, like an RPG, Elder Scrolls. Like I don't know. Because I also feel like I associate necromancers with like comedy, dark comedy, and just like a good time. Like necromancers know how to have a good time. I don't know what to say.
I guess there's so much comedy opportunities with necromancers and undead zombies and stuff. It just feels like a good setup. I don't know.
They have a good time while depriving other people of theirs.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but I don't know. What are other dark arts? I don't know. Poison. Poison is not funny.
No, poison could be hilarious. Are you kidding me?
I mean,
think of the things you could do with poison. If you fail to successfully poison someone, like, I mean, I don't know about you. It depends on what your sense of humor is, I guess. But like, I find bodily fluids potentially funny, and so poison. I'm getting very dramatic reactions.
Different kind of humor.
Different kinds of humor.
I don't know. What are the
you
dark
get
arts?
a reaction out of me even just by mentioning bodily.
Well, I also don't like that phrase. I'll admit, I hear that phrase and I go gross.
Yeah.
But poison, I don't know. I'm not going to dig myself into a hole here. I've already digged myself into a deep enough hole. We're going to stop there.
Let's talk instead about the matron who dug herself out of a hole.
Yeah.
There we go. Good transition. Varsha, this is why you're the adjunct.
And oh no, Stulan, oh my god, how Talk found him. Oh, I love that scene. Speaking of how funny things are, he's just casually walking, thinking about how he can get food and whatnot, finds what he thinks is a dead body, and then goes, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah. Tull is very funny.
Yes, Tull is hilarious. He's brilliant.
And he always says like, "Oh, can you help?" They ask him, he's like, "Yeah." And that's it. I can help. And they're like, "Okay, how can you do this? Are you going to help?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, perhaps. Can you help me? Perhaps. But can you answer this? Perhaps. Okay, give me the answer.
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you can get arrows this way. You can walk that way to do this, and you can do that." And it's like, "Yeah, but I don't know how to do
that." He's like, "Yeah, okay, I'll do it for you." But he doesn't say that. But I think Talk assumes.
Do you think he thinks it's funny too, or do you think it's just his personality?
Yeah, I think he's got this like I don't know if he's being intentionally funny, or if that's just like I had this teacher in school who used to make jokes. And people make jokes and then they sort of expect you to laugh. You get the sense that they're waiting for a laugh and whatnot. Like they know exactly what they're doing. This teacher would say funny things and then she'd just move on. And Like she just said it and that's it, but we would all laugh and find it hilarious and we'd get no reaction from her about whether it's funny or not. Tull makes me think of her.
Oh,
Like so yeah, I think he's being difficult, surely, but I don't know if he means to be funny. I think he's
okay.
intentionally difficult without necessarily being intentionally funny.
I see. Okay. Well, I hope he's having fun with it.
Yeah.
That's what I hope.
I'm
But I
having
don't know.
fun with it. Maybe, I mean, he's been like this for 300,000 years. He needs ways to entertain himself.
I feel like, though, he used to be because now he's not chained anymore, right? And I think they say, like, oh, your personality is different. And I think he says in the previous book is like, oh, maybe it's due to the fact that I'm not bound in the same way, right?
It's also worth noting, we learn in the prologue that Tull, Onos Tuulan, is the brother of Kalava, who
Yeah.
broke away from her clan. And Tull was like pro-clan, pro-genocide, pro-like order.
Yeah.
Right? And was in many ways the tool of Adjunct Lorne, right? Before. So he's like now this symbol of almost like resistance, right? Because he broke away from that order. Even though that was what he spent
Doesn't
hundreds of
want to,
thousands
yeah.
of years. You know, so I think there is that conflict with him in him, and I do think it sometimes represents itself in a very like comedic way.
Wait,
I think he's a sense of humor.
I got the sense, okay, I may have completely misread this, but I thought Tull killed his clan, and this was before they did the ritual, right? When he and Kalava killed all their relatives.
I thought the sister did it. Not he did. I don't think he did it. Did he do it too?
Let's see.
I thought it was the sister that did it. And he didn't want her to do it.
Oh, I see. And he tried to stop her. Okay. But
I thought.
oh, right. And now we are both free, though what I celebrate Onos to learn curses. Okay, yeah, I guess he wanted this.
If my memory is correct, Kalava tried to leave. Everyone tried to stop her, and so she killed a lot of people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I thought that, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I thought these rituals kind of like force everyone, and the only way to not make it happen is kind of like kill everyone else, basically, so they're not also influencing you. Like maybe if they did the ritual, like, I don't know, if the Logos clan did the ritual and 95% of them did it, the other 5% would be sort of forced to do it by the magic. That's what I thought would happen. That's why he had to kill them, so that she wouldn't be bound. But I'm not sure.
Oh, you thought Tull killed them?
No, I thought she killed them just so they wouldn't do the ritual and she wouldn't be influenced by the magic of the ritual. That's what I thought, but I don't think it says anywhere that.
No, I think she said something about not being bound to them, which I think means something more than just their decision, right? I think it has implications.
There's some way of forcing
physical
other
implications.
people, I guess.
Yeah. I think so too.
And I guess it must be either, maybe it's some ritual, like, if you touch a stone, then you do the ritual, or maybe it's like if a clan spirit decides it, like, if the clan votes for it or something like that.
And we know Onos Tulan was still alive and did the ritual. So does that mean that Kalava is one person enough to force the rest of them? Or is it a
maybe it needs to be a majority.
Yeah.
And now it's 50-50, it doesn't work. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
They need that 1%.
Yeah, one.
I don't see why otherwise. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
What did she say for parents also? I don't know. Maybe they didn't have parents.
Maybe they
Maybe they're dead.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they are dead for sure because they killed everyone else.
And apparently she had recently given birth, so she has at least one more person. So it's 2-1 actually.
Oh, true.
That's a
does
great
the baby
point.
get a say? I don't know.
Well, I don't think so.
so yeah. Interesting.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on. We talked about Tull, and you wanted to talk about the dynamic between Lady Envy and Jock, the Younger.
Lady Envy is very funny.
Yeah, she is.
She is.
That's another thing that took me a while to register because, well, she comes off as threatening, does she not? And
Well, she's both.
yeah.
Yeah.
both. And she's enforcing some sort of compulsion on these guys, which we experience through talk. She stops the Segule who wants to pick a fight with Onos Tulan, but well, Tull now, I guess. And there seems to be some sort of compulsion quality to it, which Talk experiences in real time when he
Right.
apologizes to her against his will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, circling back to like Charles Dickens, Victorian, like Lady Envy to me feels like a very, I don't know why, but like a very gothic, but like humorous gothic character. Like she is.
Go ahead, sorry.
I don't know. It's just like because of how aristocratic she is and the way she speaks, and like she's beautiful and wears this like just long white dress, but it's like a sexy dress, you know, that's like form fitting, and I don't know. Like she just
Is it
like
white? Oh, I thought it was
it
black
is white.
in my
It's
mind.
no,
Or
Me too,
red
I
or
imagine.
all
something.
Yeah.
Okay.
no. It is explicitly described as like all white. Like
Yeah.
like it is head to toe. The only thing like she I don't know. I don't know why that is too, but like she immediately for me was like again like a Charles Dickens character, very like comedic, but kind of in a scary way, you know?
Yeah.
And then Talk the Younger is of course our POV, who is way in over his head. Just way in over his head.
Yeah.
And you know, we'll see exactly how that plays out, but he's a sweet guy. I will say too, I was reminded how much like in Gardens of the Moon, now having reread that book, I liked him more in Gardens of the Moon than I did the first time I read Gardens of the Moon, but I immediately liked him much more in this book than I did in Gardens of the Moon. Like I would have to study it side by side to kind of get the, you know, what the difference is in how he was written, but he's immediately so likable. Like I love him immediately in these pages. And Gardens of the Moon, my memories of him are like, oh yeah, he's like nice to Ganos and then he dies, you know, like that's just, and he has like one eye, you know, those are like the things I remember about him from Gardens of the Moon. And here it's like you're immediately like, oh god, I want this dude to survive. Like this poor dude, like he's surrounded by this like crazy immortal lady who he maybe has sexual chemistry with, but it's unclear, you know, what's going to go on there. Right. And then he's surrounded by all these like psycho islanders who like want to fight. They're like anime characters and they're like, I want to be the strongest there is, you know what I mean? And then Tull, who's like his buddy, and it's like the one thing immediately keeping him safe. Which is also, by the way, I love Tull immediately in Gardens of the Moon, but I loved him even more in this book, where it's like he's the guy. Like he's there. Like if anyone is going to keep Talk safe, it's him. I don't trust anyone else around Talk except Tull. Tull, I believe, would like go to the line for Talk the Younger. Everyone else, do not trust them.
What about the dogs?
Never trust
okay,
dogs.
fair point. Fair point. Yeah, no, you're right. The dogs are there. The dogs are there.
They're Lady Envy, so you're right. not for Talk.
Yeah. Every time I read about like Lady Envy and Talk, I always wonder, because they remind me so much of the lady and Croaker from the Black Company. Like their dynamic is, I don't know. I guess you guys haven't read it, but for anyone that's listening that has read it, I don't know how directly influenced it is, but I don't know. It reminds me a lot of it. I don't know. That really popular, like, a really powerful woman, and you know, like, is she flirting with me? Is she not? She could destroy me in a second because she's super magical. You know what I mean? So you're like, I don't know. Should I
I'm
not?
intrigued. I'm intrigued now. I want to read Black Company more. So
I mean,
you got me there.
I'm sure you would all like Black Companies. It's so similar to the dynamic of like the Malazan troops in this book. And I don't
I
know.
love Black Company. Highly recommend.
Yeah. Do you think that it is
Okay.
inspired by the Lady and Croaker? I don't know. It feels very similar to me.
No, I mean, it came out before, so if anything, they were inspired by Black Company.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, do you think that Erikson was thinking about that dynamic?
Oh yeah, Erikson is very open that Black Company was part of the inspiration that led to Malazan. I mean, the whole military fantasy, that's straight out of that.
Okay, then yeah, it makes sense to me. It's just so similar. And
I love it. I'm intrigued now.
And there's
Croaker
the
is
other
like
guys. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna
when you get a chance, Carl, definitely check out Black Company. They're super short books, like 300-page books. You know, some are better, some are worse, but they breeze through.
Well, there's like 7
I
of
love
them though.
Croaker is the narrator, right?
There's
he's
4
like
omnibuses.
narrating. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the narrators, Croaker. Yeah, it's the main one.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
He's the first one.
Oh yeah, they do have that sort of vibe. So I don't know.
Yeah, Black Company.
Nice.
I've seen those editions. Yeah, I love the art with those. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh.
Books of the South.
I have the old art
Many
edition.
Deaths. That's the last one. Yeah, I only got the 4 omnibuses. I haven't read the last book, Port of Shadows, yet. Plan on doing that this summer before the next book comes out.
Wait, which book? Really? There's a new one?
There's a new one coming out.
Yeah, he's got a new one coming out in, I think, November.
Yep.
Is it still the main like storyline, or is it just like a separate? Because I know he wrote a couple which were like about the Dominator, like a separate sort of thing. Or something.
Not to sidetrack too much, but yes, I believe that we're dealing like it's continuing the story from the 10th book.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's 10 books. Yeah, I think it's continuing the last story, which I don't know what that means because, where it ends, but
yeah.
Yes, it's a continuation.
Interesting.
It's not Port of Shadows, which went back in time.
Okay. But I feel like I would have to reread everything if I wanted to read it again. I don't know. Okay. Interesting. Anyways. And the other connection I was making, not about the company, but like these guys that love fighting, right? What are they called? This so something? Sagulish? No. Sagula? Yeah.
That's what I call
Sagula.
Are they fighting bare hands?
No.
Are they? No, they're not.
I think no. Do they use swords?
They have swords. They definitely have swords.
2 swords, right?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know. In my mind, for some reason, they do remind me a bit of the Blood Guards from Thomas Covenant. But I don't know why that is, actually.
Also have not read that, so can't comment. Wish we had Jared here as our main.
But they are very interesting. There's another very these people super weird. They have their own weird things just put in. There's a lot of new weird thing in this beginning of the book compared to the previous book. I feel.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
you're right.
I think at this point he'd already kind of. Well, and I guess before he'd established more of the world, but he knew more of the world, what was going forward, and so we like the Sagula, like there's a whole mythos attached to them that we don't know yet, but we. Just from what you can read so far, it's like, oh yeah, clearly there's more to them.
Yeah. It's a fun beginning. I mean, I think that the thing that struck me most heavily rereading this is just how fun the beginning of this book is. Yeah. Like, even though we're dealing with, like in the prologue, shit like genocide and, potentially very dark topics, like it just is like really fun. Like it just feels like kind of just it's a good time reading.
From the younger point of view, it's very much like this is an adventure, pretty much, right?
Right.
Compared to a lot of the other points of view that we've had.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Especially, I guess, because he is like, we took him, and then now he's completely separated in a completely separate part. There's no infrastructure. There's no society, I guess, with him, right? So
And
yeah,
and
he's
and
on his own.
black glass all around. Which was that there when Kilava took the children to that place? The black glass, or was that the matron's doing?
I don't know.
Unclear.
Yeah.
Unclear, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but it took the matron like I don't know how many 100,000 years to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what it? Yeah,
300,000.
it's
But
a long time.
yeah. Shall we talk about the Crippled God and Quickpan and Munug?
Chapter 2. Yes.
Mhm.
I mean I think we should pay our credits to Picker. And oh my god, what is the other Marine's name?
Blend.
These are the characters. Blend.
Yeah.
Thank you. That the first time through, I was like, oh no, more Marines to remember their names.
Yes.
You know, I could not remember them. I'm gonna be honest. I'm coming back into the series. It is always a pleasant surprise. And I mean that genuinely. It sounded kind of sarcastic when I said it like that, but like I loved reading Picker's POV and Blend, and I definitely think they're characters who fall victim to the, as I think Steve has mentioned before, that like there's just so many characters, and that's one of the most, maybe the single most overwhelming aspect of this series. And so when you come back through it and you have a better idea of kind of what's going on, and so you're more relaxed and you can like take in more of the details, I love her. I love both of them, you know, like they're just so charming with their crossbows and their mercenary, like, you know, we'll fucking kill you, mercenary.
Yeah.
Or not mercenary, but merchant, you know, like you know, if you won't trade with us, and you know how mean they are, and I don't know, they're just very charming to me. And then of course we get the Crippled God and Munich, and it's just a great like sequence of events. Like honestly, like the way we followed that through the POV, I just think is really wonderful, and is, if anything, like challenging again, because it's like, oh, we keep getting introduced to new characters, new, you know, storylines, new things that in that regard, where it's not like we're going from, you know, a Tyrion Lannister chapter to another Tyrion Lannister chapter at the start of book 3 or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love the level. Sorry, go ahead, Dan.
No, go ahead, Barsha.
Yeah, I was saying I love the levels of scheming in that. Picker and Blend. First, they both seemingly get what they want. She gets a random, what charm to from the God of War, which Quickpan later scolds her about, and then says, "Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to live with it." And then the guy thinks, "Oh, he's gotten away. I was so clever. I've got this stuff on my body." And it turns out Blend has put a pebble in his bag to track him because he clearly looked shady and had a different agenda than what they might have thought. So I love the schemes inside the schemes there.
I also I need to interject very briefly to say, on that same topic, the hysterical bit about how Picker is constantly like, by the way, 5 of my guys are watching you right now and they have crossbows aimed on you. By the way, 25 of my guys have crossbows aimed on you right now. It's so funny.
And he's like,
And
I thought it was 5. It's like more people
Exactly.
have come to watch.
It's so good. It's
Yeah.
so good.
That was great.
Classic joke. What was it? What's a classic joke? It's like, oh, you need like $10. So you said, oh, it was 5. Yeah, like you said, 2, something like that.
Yeah,
one like
exactly.
that, right?
Yeah,
Very funny.
it was.
It is. It's just, it's good. It's good humor.
Yeah.
And
there was also interesting like lore building that part. Like for me, I am very interested in like what's it called? Tretch? I don't know what his name is.
Treach. I'd say Treach. I don't know.
Yeah. Like how that
Yeah.
works versus like Fenner, and like which one is the God of War, and how that whole thing works. It's very interesting, I think.
Yeah. And why are they all?
I actually had a.
Go ahead.
I had a bookmark here because I thought that was kind of interesting because Treach, Monag has this torque of Treach, and he's this god, and she makes fun of him, and she's like, oh, he's the first hero, he ascended and stuff. He's not really a god. Yeah, pick or sneer, not a god. You fool. Treach is a first hero, a demigod, a soul taken ascendant. And I thought, well, isn't that all the gods that we know of so far? Aren't they soul taken? Well, not necessarily soul taken, but aren't they ascendants who then became became gods, like more than just ascendants that became gods? And it's like, even though she's in this universe, she doesn't really know how it works. Like,
Yeah.
Shadow Throne is just an ascendant, but he became a god also.
I feel like these
So
ascendants are.
Treach, yeah, he's
Yeah.
an ascendant, but he also became a god of war
Yeah.
because, and I don't know, I guess it's because people considered him a god of war. Like, I'm not sure how that works, but
Fenor's already a god of war. So is it like they're sort of fighting for supremacy
there's
of getting
lots of
like
gods of war.
I don't know. I wonder if these ascendants, they're like, okay, well, I want to be the predominant god of war or god of whatever, and then they sort of need to out-influence the
Well,
other
and
one.
remember at this point, Fenor's been pulled down to the mortal plane in the last book.
Yep.
Like, so he's been pulled down, and so there's a hole in who's going to be the god of war.
Not
and
at this
so
point.
Maybe it's Treach. Like,
we're almost there. We're not there.
Okay.
Chronology wise. But you're right. You're absolutely right, Shannon, and that is something to keep our eye out for. That the cosmos have not broken in that regard.
Wasn't also something else going on with Fenner and like War of the Marine? Something like, I don't know, like there was something going on, like the cult of Fenner was on downwards a bit.
Yes.
I don't remember the details though.
It was falling apart, absolutely.
But why? Did we know why?
I don't know if we know why. Yeah, that I don't know. I mean, it is an interesting, bit of the world building, right? Like what makes a god versus what makes an ascendant, where the dividing line is, how all that develops. I think the elder gods, to some degree, you think of as like gods before the gods, but maybe that's not right either. Like there's an ambiguity there. I think we're told Treach, who is the tiger of summer, right? Who is a soul taken of like tiger, aka a were tiger, right? Like a human or some sort of person who turns into a tiger is and the point I'm getting at is that Fenner, who is the boar of summer, is Fenner like the ancient gods, like how was Fenner a person who is a soul taken? Like is Fenner a soul taken is what I'm getting at, or is Fenner a boar who became a god? Or
I feel like the elder gods are gone, right? These are all new gods, right?
I think that's a fair interpretation, right? Like I think that's fair. I don't know. Like I genuinely am like, I think of tusks and I think of the jagged, and so I say all this like as not like I genuinely, at the end of 10 books, like I don't know, maybe I missed something, but like I don't know what Fenner's deal is, and I think it's interesting to think about like, is Fenner, what type of being is Fenner? Did Fenner arise per se to become an ascendant into a god, or was Fenner something else?
A lot of these gods we haven't been like, they don't say, oh, this god is like this race or this other it's a jagged or whatever, right? Like the ones we've met seem to be human, right?
Well,
I mean the Calvin is human. Alphonse seem to be, the way it's described, it seemed to be human, I guess. Like they haven't been described as explicitly other races. That's what I'm saying. Like the new ones, I mean.
I would say that is not true, but it's not explicit. It's hard to talk about this without us. I would just say that there's potentiality for. Here's what I'll say. I don't think this is a spoiler. If humans can arise to become gods, as we have seen with Kalinved and Cotillion, then theoretically any race can
that's what I'm
arise to
thinking.
become gods.
We just haven't seen a Jagged God. We haven't seen a, I don't know, Kaching Chamale God, or a, what's the other guy? We haven't seen any yet, I guess.
Not explicitly. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah.
I was wondering why.
It's a good question.
Or a mass god, I guess. We haven't seen. Have you seen a mass god? I think so.
Nothing explicitly. It's not clear. Certainly. I mean, I think that's an interesting point, right? That if we had been presented anything in that vein, that they haven't been made explicitly clear as a once I-Mass, once Jagged, once Ondi or Teist, once whatever they were, right? Once change them all.
I guess we have Cruel didn't feel human to me. I don't know why, but he didn't feel human.
Right. The Elder Gods, I definitely feel like we can treat as pre-human.
Yeah, but is it mentionable what they are? I can't remember.
Okay. It is not.
I see.
I can tell. Yeah, it's not. It's such a weird thing to talk about because, like, knowing the prequels, I mean, there are still mysteries. There are always mysteries.
Yeah.
I haven't read all the Erikson or Esselmont books, but as far as I know and as far as I expect to learn, everything won't be made clear. It's not going to be like everything isn't going to be laid out in a neat little, wiki page for you. But some things do become more clear, and I don't know that all of the ancient shit becomes clear ever.
Okay.
Sorry, I was out for a bit. Did you guys already talk about Manug and the Crippled God and the cruelty of him and the pain that?
No, actually, that's a great thing. That's probably the number one thing we should discuss.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about the pain that the Crippled God somebody feels. Did we get a Crippled God perspective in the prologue?
No.
But
maybe just mention him. He fell in the Kalor section.
Yeah.
No
Crippled
right.
God.
Okay. There were people interpreting the pain. I think the gods who went to meet Kalor, they were talking about how the pain that Kalor inflicted was even worse than what was brought about by the fall. And I think Paran, among all the things that he feels with the hounds, he also feels pain, and the Crippled God inflicts pain on this guy Manug. There was something in the descriptions of the pain that Paran is going through that made me think of the Crippled God. I don't remember where that goes, but that I thought that was interesting because the fact that he's feeling pain at all is interesting, because where the heck are the hounds that he's feeling pain? Or is it even the hounds that he's feeling pain from? That's all.
I think that's an interesting observation. I hadn't really fully considered that, right? That we are introduced to the Crippled God for the first time in a very... I mean, this is our first real introduction to the Crippled God, the fallen one, right? A god from another realm forced down to this planet.
Is that a short part in the first book or something? Like a small paragraph or chapter? Okay.
There's a poem.
Oh, okay.
And I know for a fact that we mentioned it I know I was being a little shit about it. That was like, this is a poem. You
Okay.
should pay attention to it. Like, this may come back later.
Huh.
That it you know, it's there, but we don't actually meet the crippled god until now.
Okay.
And Varsha, yeah, what you were saying, I think is really interesting. That we have this hero, Gano's Paran, who is consumed by pain and internal pain, really, that is beginning to manifest well, I don't know if you call it externally, but like in his body, like he's feeling physical pain because of his mental pain, his spiritual pain. And at the same time, we're introduced to this antagonistic figure of the crippled god, who is begins, you're like, oh, he's gonna heal this guy's testicular cancer, and then he's like, by the way, you don't have feeling below your legs now, or below your waist now, right? Like, not great.
Why
Very
do these people just always trust these obviously evil gods? Every book there's always these henchmen that trust the evil guy. He's obviously evil. You know what's gonna happen.
Well, I liked in our interview with Erikson where he just kind of straight up said that in a world like this where the gods are real, some people just want to keep their heads down. Like, they just want to keep their heads down. Don't let the gods even know they exist, because sometimes it's more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah.
right.
And others
And
want
you-
to strike deals with them and ask them to heal their cancer.
Absolutely. I bet this guy has like prayed to all the gods and has been like, no one's answering me. Oh, this one voice I reached out to in the void responds. And so you suddenly hear from the void a voice responding to you and being like, I will heal your testicular cancer if you walk across the plane to me,
If you make a
Like-
deck of
Well, and also
yeah.
something to put in your back pocket is not only that he's an artist and he makes some cards. We
Right.
don't know what they are. We don't see them, but he makes these cards and he gives them to the crippled god. Might be important in the future. And then that's how he earned his healing, which, got him healed, but also got him paralyzed.
But I mean, we know the cards are, I'm going to say evil, but they're depicting suffering and tragedy and stuff like that. And they're obviously corrupted, because that is described. I don't know. I would be kind of, if a god asked me to do that, with like a very powerful thing, which is that it can figure, I'd be like, I don't know. Seems evil. Seems a bit evil. You know what I mean? It's not giving very good vibes, I guess.
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
ask him to do
Well,
these
I mean-
flaws. Sorry, go ahead, Shannon.
Here was one quote, I liked, which the crippled god said. He says, "Alas, as perfection is anathema to me,
Yeah.
so it must be among my cherished children." So it's, you're praying to this guy called the crippled god, and it's like, okay, I'll heal you, but I'm the crippled god, so you can't be perfect. So I can heal this, but I'm gonna have to do something else to you.
Yeah.
It's just kind of within his limitations.
Yeah.
And yeah, he looks like dark and scary and shit, but like, if you're desperate, and I'm listening to a book that I was introduced to through Steven Erikson, actually, through one of his interviews. The oh my god, I can look this up really quickly. The Origins of Consciousness in the Bicameral Mind. Julian Jaynes. Julian Jaynes, The Origin of Consciousness and the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind. And it's a big book, and there's a lot going on there, multidiscipline. But I think one of the things that, to this subject we're talking about, I think is important, is just talking about the way that like individuals across time and across society have like very different views of the world and of themselves and of the way they walk through the world that may not necessarily, that may feel alien to us, right? And so we may think, well, this seems crazy to make a deal with someone who's not even someone, a higher being that seems like scary or dangerous or anything like that. But if it's like well, yeah, that's a god, and I can get something from this god. Like, why shouldn't I get something from this god? In the same way, we may think, oh yeah, I should, buy something from this, giant corporation that doesn't like care anything from me, right? Or insert anything here, right? Like giant, any system that doesn't necessarily like care about you particularly and may have, there may be consequences you don't necessarily expect. And I mean, that's literalizing it even more than I think the point is, which is that like the point of view is fundamentally different than ours would be, right? Where this guy's like, oh yeah, like gods exist, and so it's scary and maybe a little alien, but like if this guy can fix me, like why wouldn't I make a deal with him?
I guess so. It's just very, I guess, in our society, I feel if I think about old gods, the Greek and the Romans and stuff like that, it's so full of cautionary tales about meddling with gods and doing deals with gods that it's kind of ingrained in my mind that when you're trying to make a deal with a god, it's always going to backfire. Not always, but most of the time. You know what I mean?
No, that's fair. I mean, I think that's the difference too here is like where this is one of those stories, where it's like we're reading the myth.
True.
Yeah.
But maybe he's not a bad person. Who knows? Because I mean, he does say like this is I can't do any better because this is who I am. So basically, so if I have to heal you, I also need to make you give you some I don't know.
And he is in pain, and he's got a scratchy throat out of it from falling onto the earth several.
Maybe he's like the god of disabled people or something.
Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like right what he is. Yeah.
Right
he's
now
just fighting for accessible ramps and inclusivity, right? That's the real story.
That's absolutely that he's just saying like, listen, these people are people too, and
the other gods don't understand it. They don't make they don't help him to integrate with their society. They don't give him help to be equal with them, right?
Absolutely.
So,
they even chained him, I think. And and he was leaking poison.
We saw that in the prologue.
Yes,
that was 3 years after his fall. They chained him.
Right.
Or why?
We don't know. At least I don't know.
We don't know yet.
And so Quick Pen. Oh, I think I loved this the first time that we get these 1163 year of Burn sleep and whatnot, and I never questioned why is Burn sleeping. And then we get some answers here about why she's sleeping. That gave me goosebumps because this crippled god, this alien creature, is apparently bleeding out into the earth, and that is poisoning the planet, which is, well, the clock is definitely ticking for the planet, maybe for the god too.
It's interesting that everybody knows that Bernie's sleeping, and because why would they name the years like that?
Right.
It's interesting.
Presumably, Burn fell asleep. You know what I mean? Like,
I wonder what
did that look like?
Right, exactly. Well, valid question, right? Yeah, like what was the year like when Burn
was Burn is the Earth,
not even
right?
the year, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's like when Burn just like passed the fuck out, like what everyone heard like a giant snoring, and that was an earthquake, and they were like, "Oh my god!"
Is this supposed to be like because she's the Earth? She's supposed to be like the lava and the tectonic activity and that sort of thing. And when she dies, maybe there's no more volcanoes, there's no more of that sort of stuff going on, kind of like Mars or something. Is that what? Okay, that's why she's sleeping.
That's how I'm figuring it. That there's not a lot of earthquakes and stuff right now. Maybe that's how they know that the Earth goddess is sleeping. Because what other cues are there for humans to interpret that she's sleeping? Anyway, Quick Ben makes a promise that he maybe can't keep. Sorry, Carl, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm reminded of how fucking crazy this chapter is. That Quick Ben psychically walks into the tent and meets the Crippled God, who we've not even covered all the shit the Crippled God says that's like crazy and implies stuff about his being, his personality, his wants, his desires, who he is. But Quickben goes in, the astral projects in there, almost gets like it's a horror scene. You know, he barely gets out alive and then gets saved by one of Byrne's children, who's just like one of these random like clay giants under the ground. And there's like, who knows how many of them holding up her literal ribs. And there's just like one crazy thing after another. Like these are things I've completely forgotten about before reading this book, that I was like, oh wait, yeah, that's right. That's a thing. And we see the literal ribs of Byrne, and she's asleep, and it's just like, it's insane. Yeah, who knows why she's sleeping or what that means. I mean, I don't know if it's the Crippled God. Like, certainly we're invited to, like, the Crippled God is killing Byrne. Like, that much is clear. But the presence of the Crippled God.
No, because Crippled God was chained 300,000 years before Byrne's sleep.
Right.
Well, I don't know if we can.
What I'm saying is, like, I don't think the Crippled God is why Byrne is asleep. I think that is unclear.
So
but we're at least told, and who knows how true this is, but we're at least told that the presence of the Crippled God is poisoning Byrne. That Byrne's children and whatnot are like,
yes,
this is killing.
In fact, we're told when Quickben goes down, we're told that it's like years and tens of years until he's gonna kill her, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. I got the sense that she's sleeping because to sort of conserve energy, so to speak, that the god was slowly poisoning her, and it got to a point where she just needs to shut down or she'll die much sooner than she would if she just slept and sort of waited for something to happen. I love this bit that Quickben thought that he was being saved, but then he goes down there and then they go, help me, please. Do something for us. This giant creature is begging Quickben for help.
Like, I'll be dead by the next time you can, like, see what I'm up to. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything else? I do have to run in about 2 minutes, but any quick quotes?
Yeah, so much. I mean, wow, it's crazy to think we were originally going to talk about chapter 3, and we've been like, there is a lot
nervous when I was reading even just the prologue. I'm like, we're going to go on for several hours. I don't know how we're going to do 3 chapters.
This is crazy. Yeah.
Cool. I didn't have any big quotes though. There was a lot of lore and new magic and like world stuff in these chapters, but not a lot of philosophizing. You know, that's where I get my quotes from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked this is actually the Crippled God talking to Quickben. He says, in this realm, the figure said, I am as a cancer, and with each passing of light I grow more virulent. She cannot awaken lest I burgeon her in her flesh. He lifted slightly, and from beneath the folds of his filthy blanket came the hustle of a heavy chain. Your gods have bound me, mortal, and think their task complete. So that was the Crippled God saying, you know, he's been bound, and but he's killing Byrne.
And he can't even help it because he's chained to her, I think. So
nothing to do about it.
Yep. Oh, I like this one. Elder gods, it has been said, embodied a host of unpleasantries. And I love how it came back in the prologue with the sacrifices they all made. Sorry, Shannon, did you have one?
Let me look. I think I had another one. Let's see. I read a couple of them while we were talking.
It's crazy going through this, and like, there's a number of scenes we didn't even get to in chapter 2 at the end. They're just between like Paran and Whiskey Jack and Trots and there's so much going on.
We'll come back to some marine stuff with the next chapter, I think. Cool. Shall we wrap up then? Any last thoughts?
Let's do it.
Okay, then thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week with chapters 3 to 6. See you soon. Bye.